Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys coming by the channel and spending some of your day with me. I always appreciate that. And guys, today I want to talk about spinning combinations, spinning rod and reels. I want to talk about, there's one spinning combination you can get as far as action, the type of reel and the action on a spinning rod that pretty much will do everything. It's like you don't need a bunch of different type of outfits. I'm going to talk to you about what I think is the best combo, explain to you what the deal is with that, talk about the techniques that you can fish with that. I think it's going to add up to some good fish for you guys moving forward there. Before we get started, guys, just a quick invitation. I'd just like to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling if you like the content. If you hit the subscribe button and the notification button, you'll never miss a video. And also, guys, if you want to go to the next level on the channel, you can be a channel member of Intuitive Angling, and channel members get private videos that are not seen by the public and some access to my email address for your fishing questions. So you can just go to my YouTube description or homepage and hit the join button for a channel membership. Really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I have been using spinning outfits forever, man. I started out back in the day. In fact, well, I can show you some of the ones I used here. My dad got me started out on the old Mitchell 300s and the Mitchell 308 spinning reels, and I used those suckers forever. Still got a couple of those ones here. Here's some of the old school Mitchells right here. But that was my first, that's how I started out. A lot of people started out with like a push button spin cast, but I didn't. I started out with a spinning rod and been using it ever since. And that was back in the, the early 1970s, early 1970s. So spinning equipment, spinning tackle, it's changed a lot, but then again, it's remained pretty much the same. The only thing that has really changed is the quality of the components of the rod and reel. It used to be, the rods we had on spinning outfits were pretty short and they were all very, very limber. You couldn't hardly buy a spinning rod that was stiff. The gear ratios and the bearings were not near the quality we have now. There's been a lot of improvements on the feel of the rod and the components and materials and just overall improvements in the outfit in general. I've used tons of them. I've used a ton of different ones out there, and I have pretty much gotten set on one combo for about the past 10 years. I want to share with you guys so it'll simplify everything that you're going to do here. First of all, when you're talking about a spinning outfit, I think that you can have one spinning outfit that does everything, and that's the one I'm going to show you does everything. Yeah, there's some different ones out there that have different links, a little bit different actions on, a little bit different tip actions. But, a lot of that is so specialty. It's such a specialized technique adaptation. You don't really need that. If you want to simplify things, you can do just what I'm talking about and use the one that I use 98% of the time. So the one I use, I'm going to explain to you why, guys. This is the Megabass Levante whip snake model. It's a 6-foot, 11-inch rod. They also make another rod, Megabass does, called the Addermine in a different series that has the same action on it. And I'll link this rod. I'll link all those rods that fit into this action in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to pick one up. But I consider this like a medium action, maybe a little bit on the medium heavy. I know a lot of people have different definitions for that, but in terms of just being a straight medium action spinning rod, this has got a little bit stiffer tip on it, a little bit stiffer butt, but it's still a medium action rod. And then I pair it up with this is a 3000 series Lew's spinning reel. Now, I buy these just like you guys do. I don't have any reel deal at the moment, but when you're talking about a reel that you want to do, as far as the reel that will do everything, depending upon the brand that you have out there, there's a lot of different reel manufacturers that make good ones. The thing that you want to look for, the number one, is look for this anti-reverse button right here, which allows you to back reel. A lot of the newer reels, especially some of the Japanese reels, they're getting away with these things here where you can't back reel. You don't want that. That's for another video, guys. I do not use a drag on a spinning reel. I tighten my drag down and I back reel 100% of the time, and you should too. I've done videos about that. You can check them out. That's very self-explanatory, but you definitely want that anti-reverse knob. And then you want a 3000 series spool. This is a larger diameter spool here. A lot of people use 2500 diameter spools. Let me see if I got one here. I'll show you. But they'll use this, is that one there? No, that's not one. They'll use these smaller diameter spools, and here's one here. See the difference in it. We'll use those smaller diameter spools. What? Oh, is that a 20? Yeah, that's a little. It's hard to see it, but that is. Well, there's a good picture of it there. 2,500 here, 3,000 here on the size of the spool. Now, the reason that you want to use the 3,000 series spool, a couple of different things. Number one, you can make a longer cast with it. If you have a 3,000 series spool, you can cast probably, I don't know, 20% further than you can with a 2,500 series spool. Plus, on a 3,000 series spool, you can handle a little bit heavier line. So the heaviest line I ever use on a spinning rod ever is 12-pound test fluorocarbon. So you can use 12-pound test fluorocarbon. You can't really do that on a 2,500 spool. It's too small, it coils up, it's too kinky. So when you're talking about that, this is the Lose model here. Guys, I'll link some of my favorite spinning reels in my Tackle Warehouse link if you guys would like to pick some of those up. I got 2 or 3 different companies that make some good ones. Cast King makes a real good one, Lose, a couple different ones, but I'll link all this stuff in those descriptions there. Okay, now let's talk about why you want this particular outfit, why this outfit is superior. First of all, the length of the rod, of this whip snake rod, 6 foot 11 inches long. 6 foot 11 is the perfect length for a spinning rod, because if you get into lengths that are longer than 7 foot, like 7 foot 2 spinning rods, what some of them have, the applications are a little bit less. Now, occasionally, Megabass makes one called a Shaky Head Special. It's a 7 foot rod. I will use that occasionally if I'm fishing heavier shaky heads and heavier wacky rigs, but that's only about 5% of the time. 95% of the time I'm using this whip snake because it's serviceable with that. The reason I like the 611 is that a little bit shorter length rod allows you to put better action and manipulation on the rod as far as the lures that you use. If you're using a 7 foot rod and you're trying to manipulate the action of that rod with your wrist on there, it's a little bit lethargic. It deadens a little bit, but the 6 foot 11 allows you to make a real quick snap with your wrist on there. Now, as far as the techniques go, this is another thing with it. As far as the 6 foot 11 inch rod allowing you to fish a diversity of techniques. When I'm fishing that 6 foot 11, there's a lot of different things I do with it. First of all, I fish all my finesse baits with it. My shaky heads, unless they're a shaky head like a 1/4 of an ounce or bigger. Shaky heads, drop shots, little small swim baits, little wacky rigs with it. I fish floating worms with a spinning rod because you can really manipulate it good with that 611. Some small flukes, any type of slow finesse bait that I'm fishing, little small Texas rig worms, anything out there that is like less than 1/4 of an ounce that is small that I want to use with light line is what I'm using with the spinning outfit. And then I use the spinning outfit a lot, the 6 foot 11 with a lot of other lure categories. I fished a lot of smaller crankbaits on that outfit there. I fish wiggle warts on it. I fish that Megabass Super C2 on it. Finesse crankbaits, any type of finesse crankbait, shad wrap, I will fish on that 6 foot 11 whip snake. The smaller line and the spinning rod with that allows you to get the bait deeper. It allows you to make longer casts with those baits. And that 6 foot 11 inch rod has enough backbone and tip stiffness to perfectly fish those lures. The lure's not overpowering your outfit. So that's another thing important to remember, is you never want your lure to overpower your outfit you're using. So therefore, that's why I don't use, baits over 1/4 of an ounce or so on that spinning rod. So the little crankbaits are a big deal there. The other one, you guys have heard me talk about this. I fish 99% of my jerk baits on that whip snake spinning rod. Every jerk bait that Megabass makes, except the Megabass Canada, which is that big giant 7-inch jerk bait. I do fish that on a bait caster, but every single jerk bait Megabass makes, period, I fish on a jerk bait. Because when you're fishing that, that outfit that I showed you right there, that whip snake spinning rod on a jerk bait, you can make longer casts with it. You can get the bait deeper. With that length of that rod, you can put action on a jerk bait that cannot be duplicated by a bait caster. You simply cannot do the same things as far as finessing that jerk bait and twitching and pulling and vibrating that jerk bait. The spinning outfit of that whip snake is just so sensitive that you can do that. It's perfectly matched for that. So if you go to that outfit that I just showed you there with your jerk baits, I promise you guys, you're going to double your jerk bait bites. You can't, if you go jerk bait fishing with me at Table Rock Lake in January, and you bring your bait cast outfit and I'm using that spinning outfit, you're going to get your butt waxed. And if I was using the bait caster and you were using the spinning rod, I'm probably going to get my butt waxed. It's far superior, the most superior outfit for throwing a jerk bait with it. So spinning outfits are going to be becoming more and more important, is because as our lakes get more heavily pressured, the bass prefer downsized lures. That's why, you're seeing a big move through all those little finessey stuff. It simply catches more fish. And with the advent, of course, we've seen with all the spotlighting machines out there, that's all spinning. So everybody that's, got sucked into that forward-facing sonar crap is using a spinning outfit. So you got to get good with it. But even if you don't fish like that and you actually reel bass fish like bass fishing is meant to be, without using live scope, you've got to master those techniques that come with that spinning outfit. So the main point of the video, guys, I sort of want to simplify your selection here. If you guys want the perfect spinning outfit, pick the one up I just told you there. I have tried a bunch of them, guys, and I can tell you right now, you guys will absolutely love that outfit if you try it. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.